It's insane, but
What is it? Well, what?
it was, maybe it was the rush to get the line opened, I don't know, but there's
Yeah,
certain
sure
power
that is.
things that are not complete.
So couldn't we get an update?
After a year,
I'll get an approximate time of turn on though, I can get that.
please, yeah.
2 years.
You know, because at the last meeting, we were told
It's
that,
insane, really.
that it was going to be handled almost immediately, it was going to happen.
I thought so too. I thought so too. Yvonne?
Yeah, I raised this before, the countdown clocks on the C and E on 8th Avenue. It's in the middle of the station. We get in into the front and the back. We don't get on in the middle of the station. That's an exit.
You could try.
And you have to walk halfway, if you want the back of the train, if you want to see, you have to walk halfway up the platform. Why did they do that?
Because they only put in one and they figured it was in the middle.
Halfway.
But they had 2 and a
I hate
million
to
other
say
stations.
this, but on the enhanced station initiative stations, they are the length of the platform. That was one of the things they did. When the out front advertising campaign begins in earnest and all of our, I'll put it in quotes, boring paper signs become electronic signs from which there will be no escape, they will be burning into your brain at all times on the
All
trains
the eyeballs.
and in the stations, they will be putting countdown clocks the length of the platform. That's one of the things the out front advertising campaign will do. Whether it will have been worth it to be bombarded with ads all the time, lighted ads, I don't know.
And also outside the stations before you
Yes,
walk down
we'll
the
be at the
stairs,
entrance of these stations.
before the fare control.
Like
Of course,
at the,
right at the street level.
at the news stations, on the B and the D,
B and the C, at 72nd and 86th, we have those now. And 110th and 163rd in Amsterdam, they all have that now.
They all have what?
And
Outside.
23rd and
Yes.
57th on the F will be getting what I just told, because those are part of the enhanced station
Outside
initiative.
before you even
Yes.
walk down the stairs.
Yes, yes,
Oh.
yes. 174, 175 in the Grand
So where
Concourse
are
is
they
one of
now?
those
So we can see
ESI
what they
stations.
look like? Where did you say they are?
86th and CPW, 72nd and CPW,
Okay.
110th.
Oh, that's where they just redid the station?
Yeah, that's where they have this.
So wherever the stations have been redone.
Yes, 23rd and 6th and 57th and 6th should be opening by the end of the year. Those will have that treatment as well.
Right now it's closed.
Yeah, exactly, because they're doing this.
I see.
Yes, Sharon?
But they're redoing all the stations on the N in Astoria, the yellow line in Astoria, and they don't
I
have
don't think they're
that.
doing all of them, Sharon.
Huh?
those are
They did 30th Avenue.
Yeah, but they're doing work even now on Astoria Boulevard. But
Yes,
they-
yes.
They're
But
not
that's
putting
an
in these
ESI.
new things.
That's not an enhanced station, that's putting an ADA component in, I believe.
Yeah, right now, 39th Avenue and Broadway stations are closed.
Aren't those ES? Those are ESIs.
Yeah, those may be getting that treatment. Yeah.
They completed a couple of them, and
Actually had a little argument with State Senator Janaris about ESI. He said, it didn't do anything much for 30th Avenue station. I said, that's an elevated station. I said, on the underground stations, it has to make quite a difference in lighting, on platform edges, on stairway treads, but other new business.
Speaker,
Speaker's not here yet.
train traffic. in
Deb went to
elevator.
check to see if there was something wrong.
I have,
I told him the room
again.
number.
Yeah, no, he
He
knows.
said it would be around 1:30, so.
Oh, so therefore.
Yeah. Yes, Sharon.
this is probably meant for the bus meeting, but it takes, and I know they're doing construction in LaGuardia, but by the time the Q60 or whatever it is,
M60
M60.
select.
they go from station to station to station to station, and it takes an hour and a half to get to the yellow line to connect into Manhattan. So the question
You
is.
mean the N and the W train? Is that what you mean?
Okay. So, meanwall, there are all
You're a New
these
Yorker,
buses
Sharon.
going.
We don't call it yellow and red
Boston.
I can see that.
So, and it works, by the way. But anyway, there are all these other buses circulating, Terminal A, Terminal Blue. Is there a possibility that those buses could be designated, one for Terminal A, one for Terminal B, whatever, and then they would bring the passengers to a central meeting point to meet the express buses? so that the express buses or the SBSs or whatever we call
Yeah,
them
that's SBS.
don't have to go from terminal to terminal to terminal.
Those terminal circulation buses are run by the Port Authority, aren't
That's
they?
what I want, but do we have, we're not friendly enough with the Port
They're
Authority?
friendly, I mean,
to
Pat
raise
Foy
it?
came from the
Foy's
Port
here.
Authority.
Huh?
Pat Boy is here.
Yes,
He ran it.
he ran it. So
So,
we should be able to talk to them about that.
because wouldn't that make sense and not have everybody?
Yeah, that would.
I mean, you can walk it in 2
Yeah.
hours.
No, that
and it
makes-
takes
I
an
bought
hour
in.
and a half to
No.
take the bus.
You're right. It's,
The only thing to that is that's then a 2-seat ride
Yeah, but,
with luggage.
Oh, it's
I-
short.
You know,
well, you know, you can have your choice, but.
that's the thing, right? The least number of seats is the most attractive usually to a traveler, so. Which is why when the L train shuts down, I'm assuming that some of these buses and ferries are not gonna be as well used as taking the G to either Court Square or Hoyt Skirmahorn if you're headed for Midtown or downtown. Because, you know, a 2-seat ride is gonna be a 4-seat ride, I would
Yeah.
think.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about that and we have to wait for our speaker,
He's here.
I'll be.
No, Frank's on.
There you go.
oh, then.
Because he has to set up.
Hi.
Alright.
We have the ability to show it on a screen?
Yep.
We do indeed.
Cool.
That
Very
way.
cool.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Please finish,
So we have
Chris.
a- Can I
Can-
finish it though?
Yeah, the thought I'm trying to say is, can we, have a chance, can we bring up maybe
We
any
just have this,
updates, any updates with the L train since April 27th is 4 months, 5 months? Can we get some?
And how many days? You just give me the days.
Yeah, my birthday. Let's get to the point. The point is when can we get some updated PowerPoint, updated
We
stuff?
will have that for you.
Let me see what I got.
That's pretty much set in motion now, although I think it's still subject to change, believe it or
That's
not.
what I'm
Oh,
hearing.
I got this now.
I'm hearing.
They started
yeah.
the 14th now, with the bus stop only.
Yeah, that's the problem, that's the one that I.
So folks, let me give a brief introduction to John McKay. He's the Executive Officer of Corporate Communications at MTA. He previously served as the Director of Communications for the New York City Controller's Office. Prior to that, he was the Vice President of Corporate Communications at NBC Universal. Mr. McKay has also held a number of roles at Sony Music Entertainment. He will not be entertaining us today.
Oh, yes, I
Maybe he will. Including Vice President of Communications, Vice President of Media Relations, and Senior Director of Communications and Director of Editorial Services. So he is well versed to respond to any and all questions. Oh gosh, look at that snow out there.
Oh, it's beginning to look a lot like.
It is.
This is
It's
January
beginning to look a
weather,
lot
not
like
November
Thanksgiving.
weather.
I was with Florida.
That's real nice. Thank you for that, Scott.
Nice introduction.
It's gonna change to rain shortly anyway.
Oh, is it? So we'll enjoy it while we have
Thanks for
it.
making me free.
No, it is. It's gonna warm up. You're not even gonna know it was here.
Hey there, how are you?
Better looking, by the way.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
wrong, but she's better.
And got a perfect name for that, right?
Yeah.
So my colleague Scott here is going to put up some slides, and as soon as he does, we'll start talking a little bit about our new responsive website and our new app.
Yes, and just so everybody remembers, we have given some of our comments to Mr. McKay about the app and the trip planner and other aspects of the new website. But he's always got a new thing to show us, so.
Yeah. Or not show you, depending
not
on
show.
the technological interface here.
No, I think we got it.
You got it?
I think so. So we're just gonna see if it's gonna actually show.
Maybe
up.
it's gonna move it forward.
Probably will turn off the light.
Yeah, the lights. There you go.
So this is the part where we get to read Scott's private emails, maybe.
Hey, Scott, what did we tell you about those emails?
This reminds me a lot of elementary school when they're focusing and refocusing the
Yeah.
slideshow. There you go. Can you get it to all be one big thing?
Perfect.
There you go. It's a blank slate. Ah, there you go. Excellent. Hi. So this is Scott Morris, by the way. He's on the digital team that helped build the app and the new responsive website. The new app is called My MTA, and we debuted it on July 2nd this summer. Scott, you want to go to the next slide? Oh, am I standing in the way? I'll stand over here. How's that?
Let's do that.
Hi.
We're gonna move it back though, tilt the screen a little bit.
So the new experience that we've launched has 3 different platforms. That's pretty entertaining. Nice. 3 different platforms. We have a mobile app, which is on iOS, Android, and a responsive website. Each one is more or less the same, but with slight differences in keeping with each platform. Each platform has slightly different demands, but largely the same experience. Go to the next slide. That's a responsive. We also launched a new responsive website. I'm sure all of you know what a responsive website is, but I'll say it anyway. So our old website was non-responsive, which means it showed up on a desktop, but if you tried to use it on your tablet or your mobile device, it didn't really work. That was a really big problem because even when it was a poor experience on the mobile device, 65% of the visitors were going there. So 65% of the visitors to our website were having a terrible experience. And that's one of the many reasons we decided to revamp the site and create a responsive site. Next slide. So 5 months since launch, we launched on July 2nd so far. The app combination of the Android and the iOS versions has 818,432 downloads, which is a good start. Not a mic drop, but we're there. So far there have been 20 million sessions. We've gotten 30,000 feedback comments from users. There have been over 10 million trips planned. Every day, 545,000 actions are taken on average on the site. And our new website is actually the super success story. So far, there have been 4,614,588 unique visitors. So that's a good rate of return for the new website. And interestingly, as I mentioned before, our old website, even though it wasn't responsive, 65% of our customers were seeing it on their mobile devices. Something like 96 to 97% of our customers are now seeing on their mobile devices. So that's where the communications game is. It's not on desktops anymore. It's really, really on mobile devices. And only a tiny portion of that is tablets. The vast majority are iPhones or Android devices. So here's another interesting observation. Almost everybody who uses it, not everybody, I guess 75% of people who use it are iOS users. So Apple has a huge piece of this market, which is different from the international market where Android is the big leader. Interestingly, we found this is true also for our eTix app, which is as I'm sure you know, the ticketing app for Metro North and Long Island Railroad. A similar percentage are on iOS. Approximately 35% of all sessions are on iOS, and more than 50% of all page views are taken within the iOS platform. And when I say 50%, I mean across Android, iOS, and web. So mobile phones are where it's at, and more specifically, the iOS devices are where it's at in this market. So we built a beta app. We had a bunch of different reasons to do it, to pursue this as a strategy. Number one, when I first joined the MTA 2.5 years ago, I did a bunch of outreach exercises with our customers, and I asked them what they wanted. They wanted 2 things primarily. The big asks were they wanted to talk to human beings who had customer service training, so human beings who were knowledgeable, polite, and helpful. Number 2, they wanted to have one digital system to get all around New York City, to get from Metro North to Broadway or what have you. So that was the beginning of the thought process. Then was it last summer, the Summer of Hell, Long Island Railroad? Yeah. I guess it was. Yeah. So last summer, we had the Summer of Hell. We had a need to communicate extensively with a lot of customers who were using multiple services. And we found we didn't have a single platform to talk to everybody. And that was a real strategic net negative. We're looking ahead to this coming spring, which is going to be the spring of heck, I think, for the L Tunnel Reconstruction Project, as we're calling it. We're going to need that single place to tell people how to get where they want to go. We're going to need to have gone through all of our digital pipes and make sure that the information is as accurate as possible. And so we did. So a lot of this was in response to the Summer of Hell and in anticipation of the Spring of Heck. We want to be ready, we want to have great digital information, and to help people with their everyday, of course. Next slide. So to do that, our whole concept has been about talking to our customers endlessly. We've done 27 sprints. So a sprint, we work in 2-week sprints in which we develop materials, and then we take it to customers and we test it, we show it to them. We've done 250 hours, and I could have sworn it was only 249 hours, but it turns out it was 250 hours of customer interviews. We had responses from 400 plus quant participants. There's 2 kinds of research. There's qualitative, which is where you sit in a room with people and you chat with them, and you get the tonality of how they feel. And then what I like to do is take that qualitative research, what you hear, and verify it in quant, which is a survey where you get a large number of people to answer questions or give their opinion. So we did both qual and quant, which is the right way to do it. We've tested 30 plus functions. And so far, as I said before, we've gotten 30,000 pieces of customer feedback. Not all of it polite, but all of it useful. And we've used a lot of that feedback to update the app and the website and make changes. And the whole idea going forward is there's no point at which this process is done. It's a living, breathing thing. We're going to keep talking to you guys, keep talking to our customers, keep talking to the other advocates, hear stuff, make changes as appropriate, modify if something doesn't work. We're not married to anything. We want to develop something that's good, that continues to evolve with our customers and has value. Next slide. So the current features, we launched the MVP, which is minimum viable product. Have you ever heard that phrase before, minimum viable product? Something that's used in tech circles. It's the minimum of what you can put out there and have it be useful. And we determined what was a minimum viable product based on what our customers told us. So the first version had a unified trip planner, nearby functions, so you can click it and find out what sort of functions are nearby, either transit or the railroads or what have you. Service status, with a click of a button you can see how's the G train doing. Favorites, you can save your favorites so you can get to them more quickly. Access to schedules and countdown clocks. Okay, something very interesting about the countdown clocks that was really counterintuitive to me. If you look at the app, you'll see we give the countdown information in time. So if the next train is at 10:56 and it's now 10:54, we say 10:56 instead of 2 minutes. And the reason we do that is because when we asked our customers again and again and again, they said, that's the way I want to see it. I don't want it in 2 minutes. Which was surprising to me because I want to see it in 2 minutes.
That's what I would.
So that said, now from advocates and people inside the MTA, which is fascinating, we hear again and again, give me the minutes, I want the minutes. So we're going to add it. So in January we'll be able to toggle back and forth. You can stay on that.
Well, this is the toggle here.
Right. That's okay. You can just go back to where we were. So in January, we're going to add a function so you can toggle back and forth, and whichever one you want, you can have. The idea is not to force anything on our customers, to listen and give them what they asked for. And then if we give them what they asked for and they don't want it, we'll change it and find out what they really want. That's the whole idea. So since we launched, we've added some things. We've added live bus tracking. So here, I don't know if you guys have used the app, but you can open it up. You can see where your bus is. You can watch it move along the map, just like bus time, which is pretty cool. We've added fewer clicks, so there's one less click in the trip planner. I know some of the people in the room thought there were too many clicks, and we listened, and we narrowed it down to fewer clicks. We've improved the system maps. We've taken care of a lot of little bugs. Part of the testing process is you test it, you find out, but the real test is when you go out to the, how many was it again, 800,000?
800,000 downloads.
So more than 800,000 downloads and more than 4 million people. That's when you really start to hear, is there a problem, what's wrong, what can be fixed, things like that. So, and that's an important part of the process too. All of our marketing materials talked about how this is a public beta. It's a test version, because we're not creating it, we're co-creating it with the people of the New York region. So their feedback is making it what it is, and making it better for them. Next slide. The next thing coming up, and I think it's going to be coming up pretty darn quick, is the My AAR section. We've been testing it for, how long, Scott? 5 months?
Since June, yeah.
Oh, since June. Okay, we've been testing it with June. So the My AAR function lets people who are paratransit riders book their trips, manage their trips. It gives a trip tracking. It lets them track their trips. So one of the things we heard from paratransit users, the thing that really freaks them out is you're sitting there, you've ordered your car or your ride, and you don't know where it is. So this will show you where your car is on the map. You see it coming to you. That's a relief. One of the other things we heard, which I thought was really interesting, paratransit users, when they're in the vehicle and traveling, they got freaked out then too, because they didn't know where they were. If they would have taken a left and the driver took a right, they think, where the heck am I going? So being able to watch your ride as you ride was a big thing for them, a big comfort thing. And we found that as we tested with them, that's one of the things they really thought was cool. You can do a lot of other stuff too. I think one of the biggest things is you can give feedback on your trip and on your driver. And obviously that has the potential for operational impact. Because we'll know this driver is good, and this driver is bad. We'll know who to talk to, how to talk to them, what to do. And our customers can then save a record of it so they can remember what their experiences were in aggregate. So we're pretty excited about that. And next slide, is this John? So we made a little video, and we're going to put out this video when we release the the app with the press release, but you guys get a sneak preview of our groovy video. This is John Hatchett. He's one of the customers who helped us test the app. A really wonderful, beautiful guy, as were all the incredible people who helped us test. But Joey wants Scott.
Yeah, for some reason it's showing on my screen.
His eye.
Yeah. Let's see. It's not there. Yes.
Hey Alex, how's it going? We're just about to watch a movie. I don't know if you guys all know Alex Elegudin. Alex is the, what's your title, Alex?
Senior Advisor for System-Wide Accessibility.
He's the accessibility king at New York City Transit.
The chief.
And since Alex started working here, I found something really interesting. I thought that I worked for the chairman. It turns out I work for Alex. He's a wonderful partner and a wonderful addition.
Difficulty walking progressively for about 15. I've been having mobility challenges, difficulty walking progressively for about 15 years, but for about the last 2.5 years, I have not been walking much at all. So Accessorite has become an ever more important part of my life. I've always liked doing the website to schedule my rides and things as much as possible. Now, within the My MTA, because it's my MTA, there is access. There's a doorway to the Accessorite portion of the app. I can do pretty much anything I need to do related to Accessorite. I can schedule a new ride, a reservation for tomorrow or the day after. I can cancel any existing reservations. I can track the approach of the vehicle to see where it is. That helps me know when to go downstairs. And then when I'm on the vehicle, I can track the progress of the ride toward the destination in real time. And all of that using the same app. I feel like I'm included in the community of users in a very natural way. Just because of the nature of the app, I began to be more aware of the rest of the system. My trip planner within the app lets me select all of the variables that I need. So I can say I want only buses or only subway. I get all of that information wherever I am. As long as I've got my phone, using this app gives me a sense of freedom to make spontaneous transit decisions. As I began to do that, I started to think, well, why not try to make that trip by bus? It gives more control into my hands. I'm becoming a real fan of using buses now in a way that I had thought was closed to me once I got in the wheelchair. Now my husband jokes that he doesn't know where the heck I am, and he's very concerned I be safe in my wheelchair out in the world. He also understands that part of the point in making these trips by bus is exactly that. I'm completely independent. I can change my mind at the last minute if I want to. That it really has changed my life in a very positive way.
Cool. So that's a nice little video. Nice, right? Hurrah for John Hatchett. He gave us a lot of time, as did the other 100 participants in the exercise. It was really generous of him. And I love the attitude of the paratransit community. They kept, whenever I would say thank you, they would say, don't thank me, this is about us together, working together, which is really a beautiful thing. Really love working with these guys. I love that the new app experience gives John and other users visibility into the entire system. And I love the fact that there's this new kind of dialogue that exists. Ronnie Hickam likes to say, we're in the business of replacing monologue, which is the MTA's long-standing approach to communications, with dialogue, where we listen, we talk, and we listen. And Alex has been a big part of that transformation, bringing us into an era where we have a wonderful dialogue with the community. Alex, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. In terms of the process that I've been involved in since I started, was specifically the user testing and designing of some of the MyAR app features, but more heavily on the accessibility features in MyMTA that have to do with elevator availability, other accessibility functions. I mean, I think it's been really great. We have such a diversified group of users testing these, both in paratransit and outside of, everything from seniors with walkers to people with the hearing impairment, visual impairment, super active users of the system, completely brand new users that have never used it, and everything in between. And I've kind of helped to diversify our user testing base, even to the general population. How do they see accessibility, right? You don't need it, but how do you look at it? And I think it's really helped inform myself. I've sat and like literally watched people in a little, those little market research rooms, and I think it's it's a great approach. I found it to be very sophisticated. There are challenges, right? You can have the same question and two people answer it totally differently. And how do you make a decision? And we've made the best call that we can in a lot of different things. I think we have a very tiered structure, as the app says, it's in beta. And that's a very good thing, because we have changes coming out this month, we'll have changes coming out in half a year that we're working on, and continual improvements.
Work in progress.
Work in progress, yeah, which is great, because you're not, for such a diverse tool that's always changing, you're never gonna get it right the first time. You wanna be able to have malleability.
It's a dynamic system.
Yes, dynamic system.
And listening to people's suggestions.
Right, and look, even with, let's say we get 90% of the things right? If we get a 90, we've scored great. But we can still do those 10% of things later. I think that, people's experience with what the app will bring in terms of having to wait and hold times and call representatives, it is overdue, but I think we've done it the right way. And, I have heard, I don't think I've ever said this at the MTA before. I don't think I've heard any bad feedback on this one, so.
There you go.
That's a rare one.
There you go. So I should also point out that before we began my AAR, we got tremendous feedback from this group, from Andrew and from Ellen. A lot of criticism, a lot of it tough criticism, incredibly useful, incredibly helpful.
But
we appreciate
in the
it.
spirit of wanting to make the
100%, wanting to make it better. And that's what it's about, making sure that we all work together, that we bring our resources to create one MTA. And one MTA means advocates, it means the MTA staff, and it means our regular customers, all working together for a great experience. Because this is, the subways, the buses, they're more of our living rooms than our living rooms, given the amount of time we spend on them. Hi.
How are the participants aside, Ellen came to us and asking us to test out the, but how are from the general public, was it just random transit use it, or were there specifications?
There were a lot of different specifications, and some of it was random. So we did a lot of different things. It was incumbent upon us to hit subway users, bus riders, LIRR customers, Metro North customers. So we got the broad spectrum, and people who used all of them. So we worked to identify smaller groups of people that fit those. Then we also did intercepts, live intercepts on station platforms. Where we went up to people and said, gee, can I show you the app? This is really cool. And we did dozens and dozens of those.
Anybody say, get the hell away from me?
Actually, no. People want it. New Yorkers want to talk. And if you tell them it's about the subway.
You noticed.
And if it's about the subway, there's this natural, people get mad about the subway, but people love the subway. People get mad about the buses, but they love the buses. Because again, it's more of our living rooms than our living rooms.
They like to be included.
They do.
And like to be asked.
That's
I
right.
did want to know where the bathroom was a lot.
I know one person. One other thing I wanted to
Is that on here?
We'll work on it. Alex, what did you want to say?
One thing I want to add, that another way we picked is, we sent an email blast to the top 15 disability orgs, everyone from United Spinal to everyone in between, UCP, and said, hey, blast this out to your base. It's obviously paid user testing like any market research. That's where we were really able to get, the super sophisticated users, right? The advocates, and also, when you're picking somebody up at a station, chances are they have no clue in terms, and it's good to have that clean slate, as opposed to somebody who's been advocating the MTA for 15 years. So we had a really broad spectrum, and I think we've created a really good QA vetting process for the tools.
Yes, you did.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else have any other?
So I have a friend who wants to get on the AAR app. How do they do that?
On the, my
Yeah.
well, it's going to be public very, very soon.
For every single customer.
Okay.
Every single customer will be able to use it. All you got to do is download it. You can begin the process of registering, but of course, you still have to go. It can't all be done because there's a physical examination piece and all that stuff.
Well, you're not
No, he's already
Then he's going to be able to
AAR.
sign up straight away.
soon.
Soon, very, very soon.
That's funny.
I would tell you the exact date, but it's bad luck.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx it.
I'm just curious.
You're on the My AAR app?
Yeah. I think-
Are you a
Must have
tester?
been a
Yeah,
test.
you were-
Well, I was one of the testers.
Yeah.
So
Because one
you have a test version then. The public one isn't available yet.
It
And-
works live. It's a test version, but it does work live. You can
Yeah, it
actually
works
book
fine
trips.
functionally.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but
It's
that's the
only
test version.
It's only
It-
100 people, Chris, on that one.
It's not yet in the general public. Yes, Lisa?
John, when we met, and you gave me a demo of this and the other apps, a couple of things. One is you made me start committing to using the My
Thank you.
MTA, and I've been submitting my feedback.
Good,
every
incredibly
time I use
important,
it.
yeah.
But with the My AAR app, one of the things that was included, I think, in this video is that you can make cancellations and you can make changes to your schedule.
Yeah.
And what occurred to me afterwards that I didn't ask you about was, what's the ramifications of that? I know that if you canceled a certain number of times, then you're on the.
I don't think there are ramifications if you cancel it within a certain time frame.
Right.
Alex, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah,
Is
the
it 2 days or is it 2 hours?
Well, I'll say this. There is a new, very, much more friendly virtual cancellation policy that's being released. It's part of our Q4 commitments for New York City Transit. Your cancellations and whatever else as it's tracked, it will be in line with that policy. But the policy that's being revamped is much more user-friendly. Primarily because, look, even though let's say the last one was less user-friendly, but still user-friendly, everybody appeals. We don't want to take anybody off the service. More than 90% of them are overturned like fine. We just want to make sure people are taking it seriously. We're not looking to penalize folks. We just want to make sure, when vehicles are asked for, they're used. So, yes, and that will be outlined once the new policy is issued.
Well, and actually that brings up another interesting point. Until we started this process and Alex and Scott and I began to work with the Accessori team, even though I've been here for a couple of years, I'd never worked with them before. When we started work with them, we set up these co-creation forums where a bunch of Accessori users came and gave us their feedback. As you can imagine, a lot of the feedback was about stuff other than what they wanted to have in an app. And they took notes, and then I got a call from Mike Cosgrove and Pat Foy the next day saying, here's what we heard. And then they took 20 things that were complained about and they came up with 19 solutions. So this Ronnie's insistence on this real dialogue, really listening and acting on what we hear, is infiltrating the entire organization and changing the way the MTA does business, which I have to say, as somebody who spent most of their career in the private sector, public sector, you get very frustrated because things don't happen fast. Well, they're starting to really happen here because of the leadership, and I'm grateful for that.
I agree.
Yeah, there was a big complaint because it was the middle of the summer about the air conditioner not working in a lot of the vehicles, and that was one of the big takeaways.
Oh.
And Mike went out and checked it out.
Yep.
He got people on the next day and made it happen.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment or a question?
Oh, no, this is something to compliment also, because my cousin was also on the ADA compliance with MTA, well, it's also an Accessori customer, tested the app out with her tablet.
Okay.
And she actually, because this was her first time, and she felt more confident. And I want to thank Alex and Donna Fredrickson because she tried it out, and she had no problem because she tested it out from her house to the Accessori base, which is the headquarters in Long Island City, to Harlem, where the 2nd Avenue Information Center was. She tested it out from there. She tried it in alternate directions, and it was a good challenge also because when the vice president was going through, yes, it didn't manage, she was on the vehicle was ahead of schedule, but at least it knew where she was.
Yeah.
So in case there was a problem, the vehicle knows where she is, and the app was perfect for her.
That's
She
great.
felt confident. She's not nervous anymore. But the thing is it would be good to encouraging